Hey everyone, this is Casual Fanatic.
Film reviews without the shoes.
I'm Luca, your casual viewer.
And I'm Cayman, your fanatic. What's up?
Well, good morning.
How's it going?
It's going good. I had like a movie night last night where apparently it's like a thing that people do where they watch a movie that's really like a really bad Christmas movie, and then like there's like a list of things that you have to drink to.
Oh wow.
And
what did you watch?
oh shit, I watched something in the night. I forget what it's called. Shit. Basically, it's like
Had one too many drinks.
This night that gets traveled by like this witch to be a complete night. He has to like finish his trial or whatever, and he gets like teleported into like 2019 kind of. And basically, his trial is to like fall in love with someone, like open his heart up to someone, and he like travels in 2019 with like his full armor on and stuff like that. It's actually pretty funny, I thought, but it definitely had like a lot of like, you know, like the girl who was there, her parents both died, and you have to drink to that. And then like, if the night doesn't complete it before Christmas Eve, bad things will happen. So you have to drink to that because it has like Christmas Eve in it. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, other than that, man, we had Thanksgiving here recently, last weekend, a few days ago. I was with KK's family. We had like a cabin. It was a lot of fun. Other than that, nothing much really. How about you? What are you up to? How have you been?
I've been pretty good. We also had like a Friendsgiving thing earlier this week.
Yeah.
Just like went and hung out. I like several different people made dishes, and then we ate and played some games, had some drinks.
Oh, hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nice.
Looked like a lot of fun.
And other than that, been enjoying my long weekend. This is the last day. I have to go back to work tomorrow, which is kind of sad, but
How many days off did you have?
4. So we had Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and then the whole weekend.
Did you go Black Friday shopping?
No, not really.
No.
You?
Yeah, same. No, I don't have money for it. I have no job still, so
Well,
we're in the waiting game.
Black Friday, you get some sweet deals.
Yeah, dude, but I don't have money for no deals. What? Once I get a job, I'll probably go and buy some things for myself. But as of right now, I gotta be
Black Friday anymore, so it'll be more expensive.
Don't matter. I can buy it full price at that point.
You just have to wait until next Black Friday.
Exactly.
Not allowed to buy anything until then.
Yeah, you know how it goes. So what are we talking about today?
Today, we are going to be doing another double feature. And this time we're talking about Barbie and Oppenheimer. Both of these movies came out this year. I think they even came out the same weekend.
Yeah, because people were doing like the double feature thing. They would go and see Barbie, and then they would hear like Oppenheimer in the movie theater next to it, and then they would go watch Oppenheimer. I remember that.
Or the other way around, go see Oppenheimer and then go see Barbie afterwards.
Or that, yeah. I guess I don't know where we want to start first, because I think we're going to go through Barbie first, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, we could do like just like a very general overview of what we thought of both movies at the start of this, correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Might as well just kind of put it out there. So if you want to scroll to either one, you kind of know what we're thinking.
Well, I think they're very, very different movies, but I think like when you're looking at them next to each other, it's like with anything, you can find through lines. I think to a degree, both movies deal with existential crisis. One of them is handled a little less seriously than the other, but
Right.
Yeah, they're just like, they're so opposite, and I think that part of that is what makes seeing them both together so attractive to so many people. I mean, the portmanteau of being able to say Barbenheimer also does a lot of legwork. I think it's just a fun thing to say.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you have this like upbeat, funny movie, and then this like very, I won't say depressing, but it's much more somber movie on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just having such a shift in mood, especially for those that did see one right after the other. I know I did not do that, but
no chance. I wouldn't be able to survive that. That's like 5 hours a movie.
Yeah.
That's way too much. I would die.
I think I could do it if I had like a really not busy day.
Really, bro? I was struggling getting through Oppenheimer.
Really?
I know.
I thought that I was going to, but we'll talk about this more later. But I feel like it did a very good job of keeping me fully engaged.
Wow, not me, bro. I was struggling. I think the last 30, 45 minutes, I was very much so engaged, but it was so much like politics and so much kind of shot in a documentary style, I feel like, almost, that it didn't entertain me, although it was going back and forth a lot between present and past. Just didn't do it for me. Not my type of movie. I think it was filmed amazingly. I think the soundtrack was great and stuff like that, but man, just not my thing, I guess.
All right. So
but Barbie, on the other hand,
you liked Barbie better.
out of these two, I definitely would go see Barbie again. And mind you, I've already seen it, I think, 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
If I had these two side by side, I would definitely pick Barbie to go watch versus Oppenheimer. And it's not because like you have to think more in Oppenheimer. It's just because like, to me, it was kind of boring.
I think I've seen both of them twice.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Damn. So what are your thoughts? I mean, if you put them side by side, which one would you go see?
I mean, it just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. I feel like
no mood, just you have to pick.
Well, that's not a real choice then. I feel like if I was,
which was better,
like going to see a movie with friends and we were just like trying to hang out and have a fun time, then I'd go see Barbie. I think if I'm just having there's not really a mood you have to be in to go see Oppenheimer. I feel like it's kind of just like you just have to kind of want to see it. It's like it's not. I don't know how to describe it. It's interesting, but it's not fun. Like I feel like some of Christopher Nolan's other movies, like I don't know, like Dark Knight or Tenet. Well, Tenet I have a lot of problems with, but or like Inception, like movies like that are like they have that like stupid level fun kind of stuff to them. Like not like they're stupid movies, but like I don't know, people shooting guns at each other and things like that, and like fun actiony sequences that are very like, oh yeah, that was a fun sequence. I want to go see that. But Oppenheimer really is just like people talking to each other for a long time.
Yeah, it's so much verbiage, and I think it's also like low-key slow-paced, right? I mean, they
had the time to make it slow paced. It was 3 hours.
I know. I don't know if that was a flaw of the movie or if that like made it that much more in depth. I can't tell. I mean, for the people that love like documentary type deals, which I actually like, but maybe this is just not my topic, you would definitely enjoy this type of movie. But
it didn't even really feel documentary like to me. I feel like,
did it not?
No, documentaries are very like. First of all, I feel like most documentaries are like, you know, those they have like those interview sequences where like the cameraman is asking questions and the person's like, yeah, and then I was talking about this and that, and then it like flashes back to it actually happening. But like that, I don't know, it wasn't really filmed that way. And also I think documentaries tend to be filmed a lot more objectively, and it's just like you just show footage of what happened. But this movie was very subjective, and there was very specific perspectives that it was showing, especially when it came to Oppenheimer. You see things that only he sees and experience things that only he experiences. It's a very subjective film, I think.
Yeah, but like the art of like, I don't know if I want to spoil anything, but when they were, discussing things in that room and then it would go back to that event, that was so much of like a, to me, documentary style of like what you just said, like they're in a room talking to the people and then it does a flashback to that event.
Yeah, but it's like
it was like different in
talking
the way
to each other instead of like a documentarian talking to a character.
I mean, I get that it wasn't actually a documentary, but I'm just saying like the way that it was shot and the way that it would go back, it just reminded me of a documentary. It was like, and now we're talking about how the zebras ate the lions, and then it goes to the zebras eating the lions.
Yeah, because no other movies have flashbacks in them.
Well, yeah, but this one was literally just that. It was too much of it, and there was just too much talking. Honestly, I was getting bored, and it was hard for me to stay engaged.
I get that. It's the amount of dialogue is definitely not for everyone.
Yeah. I think, me watching it one time through was great. The last 45 minutes, I think they killed it. It was awesome. But before that, meh.
I think, well, we'll come back to that. But the ending, I don't think was my favorite part of that movie.
Really? That's interesting. Okay.
But first, let's talk more about Barbie.
Let's do it.
I think this movie is a little basic in terms of the, I guess, moral message that it's trying to get across. That's not to say it's not effective. I know it was moving for a lot of people. I feel like I saw a lot of like, I don't know, not TikToks because I don't have TikToks, but like short videos like that online where people are like crying coming out of Barbie, and I don't know, it wasn't that emotional for me, but it did have some good emotional beats. But overall, I think it was a very fun journey. I think Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling were both incredible in their respective roles. The aesthetic was amazing, especially in Barbie Land. I liked the sets and the like props and all of the things that were like, it looked like a fun atmosphere, and I think that contributed to the fun feeling of the movie itself.
Right. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think their set design was great. I think the actors that they picked for the roles were great. And they also had like a lot of fun like dance sequences in there with music that I thought really matched what I view as being Barbie. Granted, like I was never a Barbie dude growing up, but I had like a preconceived notion of what this movie would be. And the first 15 minutes was definitely that, but then it got way better. If you can get through those first 15. But yeah, I mean, it was, like you said, really good. But I
get through it. Like the first 15 minutes were bad.
They weren't bad. They were just like that typical Barbie, what I would view as like being typical Barbie. And to me, that's not what I wanted to see, if that makes sense. But I would kind of disagree on like the message part. I think that it was a really strong message, and I think a lot of people can relate to it, which is why a lot of people were, crying coming out of the movie. Granted, like I did tear up a few times in this movie for sure because of specific messages or like bringing awareness that most movies don't do and haven't done, because this was a female director, correct? And
Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, and she absolutely put the message that she wanted to into it. And honestly, it was really blunt the way she did it.
Well, that's what I was saying. I feel like other movies have had this message. They're just more nuanced about it, and this one was very on the nose.
Oh, it was very on the nose. And I think that was the beauty of it, right? I think it being so on the nose, nobody could ignore it. It can't be ignored.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's like, unless I don't know. I feel like it depends on the perceived intelligence of the audience to a degree. Like, yeah, having a more on-the-nose message reaches more people, but I feel like for a good portion of the audience, they got the message already. And so when they keep pushing it, it kind of feels like beating a dead horse. Like, we get it. It's blah, 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 you know?
I don't know, man. I think pushing it like that was a good thing.
Yeah, it was.
I think a lot of people wanted that to be so harsh. And harsh messages sometimes come across better than if they were just placed there for you to look at and observe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, granted, like, we are men, so we're not really the ones affected by the message. We are the effectors, I would say.
To a degree.
In a sense.
I think.
To a degree.
It's not as, like, it does have very feminist messaging, but I think it's not entirely women focused. Like, I think Ken has his own journey that he goes through in this movie and his own lessons to learn, and it's not honestly, I think that's the part that surprised me most. Was I was fully expecting the movie to be 90% about Barbie, but Ken is not as much of a background character as I assumed he would be. He is a very central character.
Oh yeah, he was definitely, if not half the movie, definitely a third or more. But yeah, I mean, without, going too deep into it, I think Barbie overall was great. Really fun movie to watch. Heartfelt moments, really funny moments, dancing moments, and lessons learned. Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's step into the Boxding ring.
How do we want to do Boxing ring? Because for both of these movies, when I took the notes, I had gone first the previous time.
You went first on the last one?
Uh-huh.
So then I'll go first on Barbie, and then you go first on Oppenheimer.
All right. Sounds good.
So for Barbie, I'll say Barbie and Ken go on a journey that makes them reevaluate the world and their place in it.
All right. I will say Barbie travels to the real world with Ken in order to help someone, but in turn, wow, this is harder than I thought. I wish I wrote down what I said last time. But in turn, saves Barbie Land while Ken learns a valuable lesson.
Right. I think looking at this, neither of us really did a great job, but you mentioned them going to the real world, which I did not, so I think you got this one. It says, Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get the chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans.
Interesting. I don't think, I guess it was, but it wasn't really so focused on living in the real world, was it? I mean, that was maybe 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
That's kind of booty, but okay. I mean, I guess they didn't want to give too much away. That's fair.
Well, that's why I thought they wouldn't even give away the fact that they went to the real world. That's why I left that part out.
Yeah. Did you say Barbie Land as well?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't think so. I know I definitely didn't mention real world, though.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, I'll take it, although I stumbled through it really slowly. I was like, I don't want to say like what you said, so I'm gonna try to leave Ken out of it until the very end. Alrighty, cool. Right.
Yeah. Well, then, I guess rather than taking a break now, we'll take a break between movies. So let's just get right into spoilers.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the spoiler section. If you don't want the movie spoiled, don't listen.
All right, and we're back.
Beautiful.
Cool. Well, the movie does start out kind of like 2001 Space Odyssey, if you guys haven't seen it, with the obelisk.
I have not seen it, but I did recognize the scene.
Yeah, you need to watch that movie, bro. I mean, if you liked Oppenheimer, you're going to love 2001 Space Odyssey. And 2001 Space Odyssey is my favorite movie.
Well, how come you like that and didn't like Oppenheimer then if they're so similar?
Because it was more down my wheelhouse of like space and like AI and like big drama. Okay. And like way less dialogue, I think. It was more suspenseful. Yeah. Sure. But yeah, so it was like this big old Barbie and these girls are like worshiping the big Barbie and throwing their Barbie away and whatever.
Yeah.
Not quite sure why they did that.
Well, I think it's supposed to, because the monologue that they have in the opening is about like, it's completely false, by the way. But they're talking about up until Barbie came out, little girls only ever had baby dolls, and those were the only dolls that they had until Barbie, which is not true, but
it's just a complete lie.
Just a complete lie. But I think that the idea is that it's supposed to be like a paradigm shift, and it's like, this is the way that we did things, and then this act happened, and then the entire future changed. Whereas in 2001, it's all of these apes, and then the obelisk, and then that changes everything from there, kind of a thing.
Right.
And Barbie is the obelisk in this movie.
Yeah. It's like her leg. Cool. Okay. So the movie started off with a fucking lie. Love that. Yeah, love that. But then from there, it goes straight to Barbie Land, I believe, right?
Yeah, and they have that like fourth wall breaking song.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I can't even remember the tune now. It's been a while since I watched this one, but it's like, today I wake up out of bed and every day is a perfect day.
Yeah, and she's like making her like fake whatever, and she's like floating out of her house because, you know, in Barbies, when you play with Barbies, they don't walk, they just kind of float everywhere. And
then it's just like her going around town saying hi to all the other Barbies.
Yeah, and honestly, bro, the soundtrack in this movie was kind of banger. I mean, people are still listening to it now, months later.
It was a good song. I think that song in particular, I don't know if it would be as interesting just as a song. I feel like seeing it with the movie is the fun part of it.
It is the move, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but every other one, I mean, I'm pretty sure one of them was like in the top 10 for quite a while.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then, of course, when you see Ryan Gosling, he's in there as Ken.
Yep.
I think they casted him because when he was a kid, he did like this dancing thing with girls, and I don't know why they casted him. There were a lot of other choices, but I think he definitely fit the role nicely.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and just in case anyone is listening to our spoiler review without having seen Barbie, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are not the only Barbie and Ken. They're one version of Barbie and Ken, but they also have other actors playing other Barbies and other Kens. Right.
Because Barbie is everything. She's, you know, a handy woman. She's a nurse, a doctor.
That would have been kind of funny if it was just like, there's just 30 of the same person.
30 of the same actress and actor out there. Oh my god, that would have been something, but really confusing. I really did like the variety of actors though that they chose.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been it would have been more accurate, because I feel like a lot of the Barbies are the same Barbie. Like, I don't
That's
think
so true.
I don't think it was until like, I want to say like 2000s or maybe like late 90s that they started having like, oh, here we're gonna have like a black Barbie, or here we're gonna have like, I feel like for a long time the only thing that was different were the outfits, and the Barbie itself was the exact same model.
Yeah, I mean, could be. I don't know. I never played with them, so I'll take your word for it.
But anyway, yeah, the I think the other Barbies and Kens were also very, very fun and entertaining.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Who is your favorite Barbie in this whole movie?
I mean, gotta be the OG.
Really? My favorite was Weird Barbie.
I feel like Weird Barbie was a fun joke, but I don't know if she was like a really good character.
Maybe not, but I just liked her vibe more than anyone else's, honestly.
That's fair.
I feel like OG Barbie was just too preppy for me, kind of like a frat or like a sorority girl. But I don't know, the Weird Barbie, I feel like every girl that I've talked to about this movie has related to that Barbie, because like they always cut the Barbie's hair or like draw on her and whatever.
Which is a little confusing to me, because I don't know if it seems like every Barbie in Barbie Land is representative of one model of Barbie, but then I don't know. It's Weird Barbie within the universe doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, kids playing with the Barbie affects the way that she looks in Barbie Land.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she's just the collective Weird Barbie of all the people that have, done up their Barbie.
I guess. I don't know. It's a little weird to me, but it's also not that important. So it's not. Who was your favorite Ken?
I think my favorite Ken was the Ken that fought against OG Ken.
Okay.
Or against Ryan Gosling Ken, in like the battle of the dances. Again, he wasn't like that special of a character, but I kind of liked, I don't know, he was just fun.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Although OG Ken was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When he went to like the library at the school and he was like, oh yeah, men.
Especially had that, they had the beach off joke.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that's a good example of, I think, although this movie is very colorful and there's music, I honestly don't know if it's like could be called a kids movie. Like, I feel like it's family friendly for sure. Like, if you were going with your whole family, you could, like, there's nothing weird. Like, I don't know, there's nothing offensive in the movie. But at the same time, I think a lot of like the same kind of kids who are like going to see Frozen are not going to be interested in this movie. Like,
yeah,
because it's just not very simple.
Yeah, no, it does have like you would think that it's surface level, but it does have a lot more depth. And again, like there were jokes in this movie
for an adult, but it's a little too deep for a kid, I think.
That yeah. I don't know. I mean, there were a few jokes in here, like when Barbie went to the real world, and I think she was like, it was like one of the first jokes that they said in the real world, where this guy was like, catcalling her, and he was like, "Is that a mirror in your pocket? Because I see myself in your pants."
Yeah.
Like, that joke is not not kid friendly, but it would just go right over their heads. Like, they wouldn't understand.
I mean, and that stuff happens all the time, even in like actual kid stuff. True. Like, there are adult jokes in SpongeBob.
That's so true. Yeah.
But I think there's also just like a lot of the, like, I don't know, like all of the scenes where like when she's sitting on the bench and like compliments that old woman and starts crying, or
where the old woman is like, where she says, "You're so beautiful," and the old woman's like, "I know it."
Or like all of the scenes towards the end where they're having like more serious discussions. Like, I feel like as a kid you would just get bored by those scenes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I got borderline bored of those scenes. Not to be mean, but no, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a kid movie. And granted, that's what I thought it was. Like the first 15 minutes are definitely for the kids. I mean, in my opinion, at least, it was just exactly what I would think a Barbie movie would be.
Yeah.
With like live role play acting. But after those first 15 minutes, it got a lot more serious. And that's when it kind of like grabbed my attention, because I was like, oh, like the vibe of the movie isn't like, oh, like this is like child's play Barbie, like Barbie Land, blah, blah, blah. No, but like there's more. We're going to a real world. There's real problems. And
did you see Barbie in theaters?
Oh, I think I did. Yeah, I did.
Do you remember like what the atmosphere was like? Because I know like a lot of people, like I was all over social media for a while. It's like everyone had to wear pink when they went to see the movie, and
yeah, people dressed up like crazy for it. Like even some of my volleyball buddies, they dressed up for it, and I would never have expected that. But I don't know. It was like it was a lively atmosphere even before the movie, and then when you get in there, you know, like how people like cheer and like clap during the movie and stuff like that. That was definitely going on in this movie.
I think. Excuse me.
It's that boring, bro.
Sorry, I just woke up before we started recording.
Oh gosh, no, you're good. I've been up for like an hour, so
I think something about it reminded me. I was seeing this thing where I don't even remember if it was related to Barbie or not, but someone went online and just got like they just ordered in bulk a bunch of pink cowboy hats, and then it was like they got like 30 pink cowboy hats for like $30, and then they went and stood outside a bar and then sold them for like $5 per hat. And
pop. Oh my God.
These fucking like drunk people coming out of the bars like, yeah, I'll get me a pink cowboy hat.
Dude, apparently it was like this huge thing to call like other girls Barbie.
And it just reminded me of, because through a good portion of the movie, Barbie and Ken are wearing cowboy outfits.
yeah, that they got in the real world.
Because at first they're wearing their roller skate outfits. And then people keep making fun of them or like talking about like Barbie's ass and things like that, and so they change, but then the outfits they change into are like also not normal people outfits.
Right, they think they are, but they're really not.
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of threw in there because it sparked my memory of like bars and stuff. Apparently like all the girls were calling each other Barbie for the longest time.
Oh my God,
that was like a thing.
I went, what was it? It was like two weeks ago, I think. We went to Elena's formal, and we were like hanging out afterwards downtown, and while we were in an Uber, and one of the people that was with us like leaned out the window and just like yelled, "Hey Barbie," to someone, and then got upset when they didn't say it back. And they got
upset.
They were like, "Dang, people used to say that to each other," and I was like, "Not my experience, but all right."
It's true. It's true.
It's just like this stranger walking down the sidewalk. Some drunk person leans up the window and says, "Hey, Barbie."
Yeah. That was my experience of like, we were walking to a bar, people were leaving the bar, and like the girls from my group to the other group were like, "Hey Barbie," and the girls from the other group were like, "Hey Barbie." That was it. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Like,
yeah.
And then I was, weird stuff. But yeah, go Barbie.
I will say, I think it seems strange to me, and it was a little inconsistent, and I think it kind of threw me off a little bit on the messaging of the movie, as well as I think when they go to the real world, it like flip-flops back and forth on whether it's trying to actually be the real world or just another random cartoon land.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so exaggerated at times. Like, there's like literally a moment where she is in an office building, walked through a door, and is all of a sudden in a kitchen with like a view to the outside. And I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah, that was like a little weird part. I feel like that scene came from Monsters Inc. with all the doors. And if you open the door, you're like in another kid's room or something like that.
But like things like I'm struggling to think of other, but like even simple things like
when they were rollerblading and people were catcalling, or
the catcalling was a little exaggerated, or like the
workers,
the CEO like boardroom, whatever, is like this giant heart-shaped table.
Hey, who knows though? I mean
I've never been
somewhere
in the Mattel headquarters, but
yeah,
I don't know. It just, parts of the quote unquote real world didn't feel very real to me.
Nah, I'm with you. Yeah. Like even the school. Well, no, the school was pretty on point. I feel like
that's what I'm saying. Like, there were other parts that seemed more like the school. Well, realistic. I don't know. Maybe it is realistic, but they had very poor security at that school, just letting adults walk in and talk to the children.
Honestly, bro, when I was what, in like fourth grade, that school that I was at, there was no security whatsoever.
That's insane.
Yeah, I remember like the uncles of like a specific person would always just like play with us at the playground, and like they had like this weird like separate group where he would decide who gets to play with them or not.
That's just wild. It was really weird. Me.
Yeah, I reported him, bro. I was that guy. I reported him. He got in trouble. They asked him not to come to the playground anymore, but
yeah, I also think it's strange to me that, and it feels very, I guess, expected because it's a Mattel property, and obviously they're not going to shit on themselves. But it feels like they were using Barbie to talk about like semi-related issues, but then they never really talk about Barbie's issues. Like, they mention it, and like especially in the at the school scene when she first walks up to, man, I don't remember that character's name. Daughter. But walks up to Daughter in the school, and they immediately, like, you see it, and I will say it's kind of funny how everyone in Barbie Land is just kind of stupid. Like, the Kens are all very like dumb and like,
yeah,
watch, I'm gonna do this cool move, and then like runs out onto the plastic water and hurts himself. But then also on a completely separate level, the Barbies are all completely ignorant and think that they're like, yeah, we've fixed everything and the world is perfect because of us. But they're like, they're all idiots. And Barbie goes to this lunchroom, and the girl talks about how like Barbie is like created more problems by creating this like unattainable image of what a woman needs to be, and like no one can like fit her, like her physique is unrealistic, and rather than giving like being like, hey girls, you can be whatever you want, it just made a lot of women feel shitty for not being able to achieve those things. And I feel like they never really grapple with that. I guess a little bit on that one specific thing they touch on it at the end, because Barbie goes through that same thing where she gets depressed because she's not an astronaut or the president, and the weird ghost lady that was in the kitchen tells her that she doesn't have to be those things. but like, I don't know. I feel like that I don't remember everything that little girl said, but I feel like she brought up like 3 other points that just never get brought up again in the rest of the movie.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel like that happened quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was like the subtle hinting toward the problems that you were talking about that some other movies do, but never dig into it. I don't know. They had more pressing issues to look into.
Yeah, but I think that's going back to the how the message didn't really work for me. And like I said, I understand, first of all, not the target audience for this specific message, but also not the target, because I think the movie is trying to speak to everyone, but it felt like it was very like patriarchy bad. And it's like true, but this is 2023. Like, is that a groundbreaking message for anyone?
True. Yeah, I mean, can't argue that.
Like, I just feel like they could have.
At the same time, though, like, no one else is talking about it. I feel like the message was really big.
People have been talking about it for the past 2 decades, so no one needs to talk about it anymore. And you think things are going to be done because of Barbie?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know about
I mean,
that.
it definitely spurred some conversation.
I guess.
Which that's all you can really ask for, you know?
I don't think it spurred any more conversation than like actual like feminism. I don't know. I feel like very rarely can a movie like change the world like that, you know?
I agree, but I'm sure like the audience that went to go see Barbie, like let's say a shit ton of sorority girls, right? I'm sure they're not really thinking about rights and equality.
I bet they are though. Like,
you think so?
I think sorority girls do a lot of stupid shit, but like, I think any girl in college is well aware of all of the things that they talked about in this movie. And I think that's why the movie hit so well with people, because especially the other character that I don't remember the name of, so I'm going to call her Mother. But towards the end of the movie, Mother makes a speech about how hard it is to be a woman. And it's like, I feel like if women didn't already know that, then it wouldn't have been as emotional. So I don't think she wasn't saying anything new.
Yeah, you're not wrong. That's true. That's true. That was like definitely the best speech in the movie, though. I feel like.
Yeah.
That was definitely one of the points where I kind of teared up because I just felt bad. And I mean, you can relate to it even if it's not directed toward you because you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think the movie does, and it deserves all the praise possible for this, but I think a lesser movie would have been very like one-dimensional and like all men are bad and women should rule the world and blah 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 blah. But I think this one does a very good job of evening it out, and it doesn't villainize Ken. Like,
right.
He is doing like bad things during a part of the movie, but like it's not.
Yeah.
He's never made out to be like evil.
Yeah, no, that's. I think that was literally the whole message of the movie, with funny parts in it, kind of dressed up as you would a Barbie. But yeah. I don't really have much more to say about it just because it is just that blunt.
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, we could talk about funny parts in the movie.
Well, I also think it's the ending is a little strange because they like
the memory flashing or what?
They play it off like a happy ending, but it's technically because the contrast that they give, and I think that's part of, especially, I will admit there are some very dense men out there, and I'm sure a lot of them just didn't want to see this movie, but maybe some of them got dragged along by their girlfriend or something like this, and I think for those men specifically, it was helpful to have the contrast of like, whereas in the real world we have the patriarchy, in Barbie land it's the matriarchy and the women run everything and the men are just like standing off to the side looking pretty but don't serve any real purpose kind of a thing. And I think for getting that message across to those specific people, that is very helpful. It is a little strange at the end because the way the movie ends is they say, maybe at some point the Kens will reach the same level of equality that women have in the real world. And I'm like, is that a happy ending? Like, that's still worse than it is in real life.
Well, I think it's like them trying to say like there's still a lot of work to do in the real world to get woman equality to the same level.
Well, but
because I think in Barbie Land it's so obvious, and in Barbie Land it's so obvious that the Barbies are on a higher platform than the men.
But it feels like if you were trying to be like, oh, we can do better, you'd be like, I mean, obviously you can't have it end up being like perfect, but I don't know. I feel like if it ended up the same as the real world and been like, hey, it's not perfect, but we can work towards something, I feel like that would have, I guess, at least for me, been more satisfying. But it's not even like, okay, the Kens are the equivalent to how real world women are. It's like, no, the Kens are still less than real world women, but their goal is to get up to where we are. And I think where we are shouldn't be the goal for anyone. So that's why it felt weird to me.
I get you. Yeah. And it also didn't. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like it would have been a stronger message if they kind of offered a solution, or at least a route, a plan.
Yeah.
But that also wasn't a part of anything.
Also, going back to the Mattel not wanting to dog on themselves, but first of all, we haven't mentioned him yet, but Will Ferrell plays the Mattel CEO, and it kind of flip flops back and forth between him being greedy and being like genuine, because there are scenes where there's the scene when Ken takes over Barbie Land and he's like, what does he call it? It's like the Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we can't have this. And then one of his analysts is like, no, actually, it's selling really well. And he's like, all right, never mind. This is good. But then there's another scene earlier in the movie where something similar happens. And someone is trying to tell him how like, oh, this could make us a lot of money. And he's like, how dare you? I don't care about the money. I'm in this to help little girls.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he was definitely a character that played both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and then he also said he wasn't in it for the money. But then what you just said happened, and I was like, okay, all right.
I feel like, I guess how this was an hour and 50 minutes. I feel like it could have been 130. I think there was at least a good 20 minutes they could have cut out of this.
I mean, what part though? I mean,
well, like all of the Mattel stuff, like it was funny. Like, don't get me wrong, especially like the key card joke when they're chasing out of the building and they run into the turnstile. And he's like, "Oh no, I don't have my key card." Just get stuck. Yeah, like it was funny, but I feel like narratively, the CEO and all the people following him around had no effect on the story. I feel like
that's so true.
They didn't really serve a purpose.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I agree. That's all I can say. Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think of like, was there any reason for it? Like, I guess maybe like trying to put her back in her box, kind of thing, where it like happens where like they're trying to make a comparison of like, even in the real world, the men, or I guess anyone in power, tries to put out of the box thinking back in the box, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
That was like the one thing that happened in that whole scene that was important. Or like even the car chase, where it was kind of like a car commercial.
The advertisement for the Chevy Suburban?
Yep, that one. Yeah, that could have all been chopped. But honestly, they probably got a lot of money for that, royalties.
Yeah.
Putting that scene in there.
That was kind of funny. not even like the movie was funny. It's just like funny that they went so hardcore.
That happened.
Yeah. Like it was the
like
most
the car
obvious brand placement, product placement.
Oh yeah. And I'm pretty sure they said the car's name a few times too.
Yeah, and they had like close up shots of the little decal to make sure you knew it was Chevrolet.
Yeah. Like, this is an off-roader. You can get away from anything. Trust.
But yeah, absolutely wild.
Yeah. Made me want to buy the car, though. No, I'm kidding.
What kind of car do you have?
Subaru Crosstrek.
Subaru. I have a Toyota.
Yeah, Subarus are where it's at here in Colorado, I think. Everyone owns one.
So Subaru and Toyota, both Japanese brands.
Oh, yeah. And you see a lot of 4Runners here, too. Just not Priuses, honestly.
Elena has a Ford, so she's got the American cars covered.
Yeah. Wait, she's a Ford Focus, right? No.
Yeah.
Impreza?
No, she's Focus.
Impreza, Subaru, Luca, come on. Yeah, Focus. Yeah. I remember that. What brand of car are you going for next, do you think? Because yours is an older model, huh?
Mine is 12 years old at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord. Oh. I just recently, oh my God. So, because I have to drive stupid long to work. Sorry, this is a side note. I don't know if the audience is going to be interested in this, but
Let's hear it.
I have such a long commute to work. I went and got my oil change like a month ago, and they told me that, like, you know, the little sticker they put on there to be like, here's when you should get your next oil change. Yeah. Mine, the date on the sticker said March of next year. Or no, April even. Yeah, April of next year is when I was supposed to get my next oil change. Literally,
they gave you a date?
Well, they put they put a date and a mileage, and they just say like whichever comes first. Right. But I think my mileage was like, I can't even remember. My car's over 100,000, but I can't remember the specific mileage right now. But the date they gave me was in April of next year, and then within a month, I had already hit the mileage that was on the sticker.
No way. Holy smokes.
And my car
that means you drove like 3,000 to 5,000 miles in a month.
I honestly wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, because with like regular oil, it's 3,000. If you have synthetic, it's like 5,000. Okay, so 5,000 miles.
But yeah, my car started like flashing warnings at me like, hey, you need more oil soon. I was like, damn, I just got my oil changed.
Fuck, that sucks.
And so rather than scheduling another appointment, I just went and bought oil and refilled it myself.
That's okay. Just because old oil and new oil mixing together, it's not a good combination.
Yeah, I know. You know. But I mean, like, you can't fully clean out the oil tank anyway, unless you like go in there and wipe it down.
Well, no, but they drain it. You like, wait. So how many miles is it to work? Is it like 100?
I can tell you that right now. Hold on. It is almost 80 miles for me to get to work.
That means per month you drive roughly 3,200 miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just to work and back. I'm sure you drive it around town too.
Also that.
Damn. That's a lot.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Dude, I just drove to Texas and I finally hit 100K.
Damn. How old is your car?
Yeah. It's a 2018.
That's a lot for being so new.
Dude, yeah, the guy that drove it before me, I think I bought it from him with like 87,000 miles.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, and he did only highway miles with it, like long distance. And I was like, that makes sense for work.
When I bought my car, I think it had 11,000 on it.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Because the people that had it before me was like some old couple, so they like barely drove.
That's so cute, dude. Even in a Prius, I love that.
But yeah, I think by the time Elena graduates, my car is going to be kaput. So
I mean, I think I think, especially in the market now, it's probably a good time for you to look into selling it if I were you. Unless you want to drive it till the wheels fall off, but then you won't get anything back. Even $3,000 helps.
That's true. You know? I mean, we'll see, because I think because the problem is, even if I got a new car now, I would just be putting it through miles for the next 3-4 years for no reason. So I feel like I'd rather.
That's fine though. That's okay though.
I mean, over $3,000 a month on a brand new car, I don't want to do that. I'd rather.
What do you mean?
I want to run.
This is what I hate. I hate that so much. That view of like, oh, this is a new car, so I can't drive it. Oh, that's so annoying.
I'm not saying I can't drive it. I don't want to, within 2 years, have this one reach 50,000 miles. I'd like my car to last longer.
You have a car to use it, though. That's fine. Everyone has different viewpoints of it. And then I'm over here like, if I get a new car, I'll drive the shit out of it. Like,
no, I like I said, I've had this one for 12 years. With the next car I get, I would also like to have for 12 years. And I don't think that's going to happen if I put a shit ton of miles on it within 2 years.
That's fair. That's fair. But, you know, there's different, like right now in your life that you're in currently, the piece of your life, you just drive a lot, you know?
Not necessarily.
And getting like a new car, putting it up to like 80,000 miles and then reselling it, you get even with 80K miles on it, you would get probably close to the value of what you paid for it if it's a good car.
I'm not trying to buy a car and then immediately buy a new car. That's not how I like to deal with cars.
Maybe don't buy the car. Maybe you can do that. What's it called? Where you rent the car, and I think every year you get a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've looked into it, but I think for right now, my plan is to drive this one until Elena graduates, and then. Once she's a doctor and making big kid money, then I can get me a new car.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because that's the other
thing. But also, you're making big kid money, so.
I mean, yeah, but I don't have enough to drop like 30K right now.
Well, you don't drop it all at once, you crazy. What? You get a loan, dude. You make your credit score go up and make it really strong, so at one point you can get a fat loan for your house.
My credit score is real good right now.
I mean, you can have a good credit score, but it's not strong. You know what I'm saying?
It's not.
I talked to my banker about this. I talked to my banker about this, although there's nothing about the movie. But he said that like, although you can like drop whatever, like when I got my car, it was $21,000. He was like, although you could pay this off in full and do all that, it's way better for you in the long run to like pull out a long credit over, let's say, 5 years, because credit scores in America are so important. Like they like look at how long you've had it. They look at how consistent your payments were.
Well, see, my problem is I know people who are like, they make like pretty good salaries, but they're still struggling because they have like car payments and house payments and student loans. And I'm like, the less of that I can have, I feel like will make me happier. Even if it's not like the best financial decision in the world, I feel like I'm already stressed out about having to repay my student loans. If I have to put more loans on top of that, it's going to frustrate me.
Yeah. How much would your student loans be a month?
Oh, I don't know. The last time I calculated it was before the repayment started.
Yeah. What was like 300-400 or even less than that?
But my
who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the calculator right in front of me, but I have like over $50,000 in loans.
That's quite a bit. That's more than my car payment. So more than my car loan. Well, I guess there you go. Like that's part of your way to get your credit up.
So yeah, I'm gonna focus on my student loans. I know a lot of people like it's not the end of the world, because there are a lot of people who like go through life and die and have still not paid all their loans off. But like if I could get to a point where I'm debt free, I feel like it would feel like a big accomplishment.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I have like maybe $12,800 left to pay on my car. Once that's done, that'll be nice. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. It's not that crazy of a payment that I have on it. And I understand now how people can afford like big cars. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Barbie.
I didn't really have anything else to say about the movie itself.
I don't either. I think we went through it all without going into like too crazy detail. Definitely, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's really, it's funny. It's colorful. It's very. There's two different worlds that you get pulled into, and I like the transition between the worlds. So definitely, go look into it. It's pretty dope. It's a good movie.
All right, we'll move on to some trivia now.
Let's do it.
Our first one says, when Weird Barbie is telling stereotypical Barbie to go to the real world, she holds up two different kinds of shoes to reflect the options. The first is a pink heel, representing Barbie's perfect glamorous lifestyle, and the second is a brown sandal, symbolizing the rough and tumble reality of Los Angeles. In the final scene, Barbie wears a pair of pink sandals, showing how she found balance between her idealistic demeanor and real life.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. On the balance, understood both worlds.
I do think it's kind of funny. I don't even remember where I saw it. It might have been just like an offhanded comment on one of the podcasts I listened to, or like a YouTube video or something, where people were talking about at the end, you like expect. Like, there's a whole scene where she's getting dropped off by the family that she was helping or whatever, and they like set it up to make it look like she is like going to a job interview or something, and then it turns out she's at a gynecologist appointment.
Yeah. She was like, here to see my gynecologist finally, because she has lady parts.
Yeah.
Love that. Love it.
Yeah, just a funny little bait and switch there.
Yeah.
All right, next piece of trivia. Barbie is 23% larger than everything in Barbie Land to mimic the awkward, disproportionate scale that real Barbies and Barbie activity sets are produced in. This is why Barbie sometimes appears too large for things like her car, or why ceilings seem to be so low in the dream houses.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that was one thing that I remember. Like, I never had a playset or anything, but like, when I remember going to daycare and there was like Barbies and stuff there, and like it always felt like the actual Barbies were too big for any of the stuff that came with her.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I never played with Barbies as a kid though, so I can't like really like talk on that.
I honestly,
but at least from what I saw in the movie,
didn't really play with Barbies that much. If I'm being honest, when I was in like preschool, the bigger thing for me was Polly Pockets.
I've never even heard of those.
They're like tiny little figurines, and they're also like the same thing as Barbie, where like they're like, oh, you can change the clothes, but the Polly Pocket clothes were rubber, so they were like very stretchy and very satisfying to like sweep and like stretch over the little Polly Pocket body.
Yeah, let me look at this up. Hold on. Polly Pocket, interesting.
Yeah,
I only remember like the Bratz dolls. That's what I remember.
The Bratz dolls were very stupid looking to me. I hated the big head thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've never seen these toys before.
Really?
Polly Pocket, yeah, never.
Yeah, they had rubber clothes.
Cool. That's funny.
And so, like, you know, like just as a kid, just that tactile feeling of stretching something is very satisfying. They
look really small.
They are very small. They're definitely a choking hazard. I don't think my daycare should have
had them. Yeah.
They also let us like, what are they called? Like they let us like play with soldering guns at one point.
What?
Like
what do you mean?
Like they had an adult there watching us, and it was like, if you're using the soldering gun, you have to, or not. Is soldering gun the right? What's the things that you use to like burn wood, but it's like a little stick? That's a soldering gun, right?
It could be a soldering gun. Yeah, same thing. Soldering iron.
But yeah, they were like,
are you sure it wasn't a sweatshop?
We weren't making anything. It was just crafts. And they were like, you have to sit at this table if you're going to do soldering, and if not, like you can't take it away from this table. And like they made it relatively safe, but still it's like preschoolers in here.
That's
with
crazy.
Like several 100-degree heat metal. Like I like burned words into pieces of wood.
That is crazy. That was allowed. Wow. I've never heard of that. What the fuck?
It was wild.
Although,
times.
like, yeah, those are way different times. But I mean, your parents must have known. I mean, everyone's parents must have known if the kid's bringing home shit that's like flamed into wood.
Right.
That's crazy.
I mean, I didn't hurt myself, so I obviously was competent enough to use it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you would always be like the safe boy, though. Me, on the other hand, I don't know.
You'd have put it right in your mouth.
No, probably. No chance. No chance. Ooh, I don't even want to think of that. Oof.
You ever get the, like, when you eat something too hot and it, like, burns the roof of your mouth and then you have, like, that little skin flap hanging down?
Yep.
Awful.
Or, like, the burn on your tongue in one spot, like, you can't, like, really taste it and it's, like, sore.
Bro, that's why Elena always makes fun of me for waiting so long to drink coffee, but I'm like, it pisses me off so much when I take a sip and it burns my tongue and then I just can't taste the rest of my coffee.
Dude, yeah. What did I have recently? I tried KK's tea. Bro, she warned me. She did warn me, but I didn't fucking listen. Yeah, my mouth was burned, dude. It was so hot. It was like 1,000 degrees.
It's not for me.
Not for me either. I'm with you on the waiting, usually.
And our last piece of trivia here is composer Mark Ronson wrote the song I'm Just Ken largely as a joke and recorded a demo for Greta Gerwig, not seriously expecting it to be included on the soundtrack. However, she liked the song, and when she shared it with Ryan Gosling, he felt so strongly that it had to be added to the character of Ken. He successfully advocated for it to be made a musical number in the film. Ronson remarked that he was amazed how much Gosling's interpretation of the song improved upon his original intent.
Oh, that's fun. That's awesome. That's the song that they all sung around the campfire, right?
No, that was a Push. That's a real song. I'm Just Ken is the one that they sing. I think after they have the beach fight where they're all like shooting the plastic toys at each other, and then they like do a musical number together, and then they're like all on the same side after that.
I remember. Yeah. That's dope. Those are some good trivias. We like those.
Yeah. I believe we can take
Barbie.
Yeah, that's Barbie. Go see it if you haven't seen it. Or, I mean, unless you, after listening to us, if you still are like, no, that movie sounds stupid, then you know what? You do you.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a short break now, and then we will come back for Oppenheimer. Hello.
All right. I'm ready now. Hello. And we're back. All right. It was a good break. We drank some water.
Yes. Water's important. Stay hydrated.
Yep. All righty. Well,
now
since
we're going to hop into Oppenheimer, which is Christopher Nolan's latest movie. I don't know if you are a fan of Christopher Nolan's work. I know you mentioned earlier that you're like not the biggest fan of this one, but I feel like
it's not that I don't think it was a good movie, right? Like that's the big distinction I want to make. I think it is it is a great movie, filmed spectacularly. I think everything it did was correct. I just think it was an hour too long for me, honestly.
I gotcha.
I feel like if some of that dialogue in there could have been compressed, which I don't know if it could have been compressed, it would have been a lot more enticing. But I think even from the start, just me knowing that I was going to sit there for 3 hours and watch whatever is going on in this movie kind of hurt. And that happens with every movie, even like Avengers movies that were 3 hours long. I was like, dude, this is rough. Like 3 hours. That's a road trip to Oklahoma from Texas. Like that's what I think of every time. I'm like, I remember driving from Dallas to Oklahoma, Norman, and it was 3 hours long. This is what this movie is now.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
I think Tenet, which is Christopher Nolan's last movie, was also almost 3 hours. This one is, I think, exactly 3 hours, maybe a couple minutes less, like 2:56 or something like that. But Tenet was like 2:40, 2:35 or something like that. So honestly, only a little bit longer than that. But I will say, I definitely liked this movie better than Tenet. I think it was more cohesive, and less, what's the word for it? Less, like self-important. Like it's very, snobby is not the right word. Pretentious, I guess, is a good way you could describe Tenet. Like to the point where the protagonist in Tenet doesn't have a name. Like his character name is Protagonist.
Yeah. I honestly don't remember Tenet that well.
It's the one where like everything moves backwards, and like people are fighting each other, but one of them is backwards.
Yeah.
It was a very strange movie. The action was cool, but the story itself was like, it felt a little up its own ass.
Did I see this movie? Dude, I don't even know if I watched this movie.
Interesting. Well, if you haven't, we may have to talk about it sometime. It's definitely an interesting discussion.
Yeah. Do you know, this has nothing to do with like the movies, but since we're talking about future movies that I think would be fun to watch, there's this movie coming out soon for Christmas time, December, that we could watch. It's the what is it? Damn it. No, I just forgot the name. It was the movie where like Santa is a Violent Night.
Is that, have you heard of that one with I don't remember his name now. Yeah, I was like that. I think that's been out for a while.
Yes, and it has David Harbour in it.
David Harbour. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and he's like Santa. I think that'd be a pretty funny movie to watch for Christmas, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, going back to Oppenheimer, I think this movie definitely, like, you can feel if you're familiar with Christopher Nolan's work, I think you can definitely feel his directorial presence here. Especially when it comes to his very, he claims that there's no CG in this movie. I don't know if that's 100% true, but at the very least, he's very minimal with his visual effects.
So that bomb that they blew up was actually a bomb?
So with the actual explosion, they did it was a lot of compositing where they would film several smaller explosions and then like layer them on top of each other to make them look bigger.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
And like all of those like random like swirly particle kind of shots, those were all done practically. But yeah.
I can see that being like inside a studio, someone's just making a fireball and they're recording it close up. I can see that, but
as far as cast, I mean, this movie has so many like well-known actors. Like every major role in this movie is like someone that is like recognizable.
Yep.
Even like small roles, like almost like in any other movie they would be considered cameos, but I feel like in this movie it's just like you can't even call them cameos because it's just like only Christopher Nolan could have someone in a movie where they only have like 2 lines and it be like a popular actor.
Yeah. Let's see which one of them maybe had a few lines.
Well, like, as a good example, because we did Last Voyage of the Demeter last week.
Yeah.
The person whose name I can't pronounce, Stan Cholin or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you remember him?
I remember him. I don't see him on this list though of cast members though.
David Dastmalchian. But he was in Last Voyage of the Demeter, and he was also in this movie.
Oh right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I didn't even recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so bad at like when I see an actor in a movie, I'm so bad at like connecting it to like a different movie.
Yeah.
I mean, except for, of course, Robert Downey Jr. I definitely connected him to.
I don't remember his character's name. Let me look it up real quick here.
It was William L. Borden.
Borden, yeah. He's the one who like wrote the accusations against Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Which that whole wait, have we done a spoiler section yet?
No, let's not get into it too much. I will say, obviously, this is based on a real person, so a lot of these events actually happened. So I guess yes, we're going to be spoiling a movie, but also like this is historical fact.
This has been real life.
It's not like this is new information.
Yeah. And maybe, dude, that's why it was so boring. Just because they couldn't inflate anything to be like, you know, like the movie magic to where like sometimes they'll inflate certain events. I'm sure they did it actually, maybe in this movie, but it was still like so real life for me that I just can't do it.
Okay.
When politics get involved and like things get super serious and there's big things at stake, my brain turns off. I don't want to. Unfortunately.
I really like this movie. I think
I knew it. This is definitely down your wheelhouse.
I mean, like I said before, I think Barbie is a more fun movie, but like in terms of like the writing and the acting and the cinematography, I think all of that was better in this one.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
All right. Well, then let's go back into the Boxding ring.
Let's do it. And this time, I believe I go first.
Go for it.
So, here we go. I'm gonna try to add some names into it. Let me go back to the cast list. Wow, this is so hard to make into a big, like, concise thing. 3 hours of movie in 2 lines of words. Oppenheimer. That's it. No. Let's see here. Oppenheimer's upbringing leads him to being one of the most famous physicists in the world, leading to the most destructive force known to man. I'll leave it at that.
All right. I'll say the life. No, that doesn't sound right. Let's say the story of esteemed or prestigious. Let's say prestigious scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer before, during, and after his involvement with the Manhattan Project.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. All right, you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
The story of J. Robert Oppenheimer's role in the development of the atomic bomb during World War II. That's very short and sweet.
I'm surprised that you said the story. Like, what made you want to put the story?
Because I said it wasn't the life, and it sounded weird. Because it's not like this isn't a telling of his whole life. It's a specific period in his life.
But is it? What is the definition of story? Because I would never have used the word story. Because story to me is like something that's made up.
No, you can tell true stories. That's why it's called a true story.
That's fair. Story to me just sounds like, oh, like someone is making it up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
Sorry.
All right, well, I think you got it because you put story in there.
I also said his entire name.
That's true, yeah. That was very short and sweet. I'm surprised that they put the atomic bomb in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's what he's most famous for. I think where I messed up is I tried to, I guess, accurately describe the whole movie, but this description only talks about his time during World War II, which is like 1/3 of the movie.
Yeah.
But is what it is.
Alrighty.
Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, this is the spoiler section. If you don't want the movie spoiled and you haven't seen it yet because you didn't want to go see it because it's 3 hours long, don't listen.
All right, we're back. Dude, I read a comment that was about this movie just now, and it's really funny about the score, because let's talk about the score real quick. I think the score of this movie was intense. It was super cool.
It was very intense.
It was like, yeah, like every part of this like movie had some kind of like sound with it to make it just that much more.
That helped with. I know.
That helped with keeping you like.
Yes, but I didn't see this one in theaters, so I can't speak to that experience. I know a lot of people struggled with it, and apparently this movie had a lot of problems in theaters. But this has been a problem with some of Nolan's other films as well. Is in a lot of his movies, I've seen so many reviews where people in the theater, like, the music is so loud that they literally can't hear what people are saying. And I think there was a little bit of people saying that about this movie as well, and that sucks that happened. It wasn't like that on the digital version that I watched, so I think the score was very. I feel like it helped stave off boredom a little bit. Not that the conversations were boring. I think the writing was interesting enough that I would have maintained interest even without it. But there are scenes where there's like people having a discussion in a boardroom, but then the music is like so tense, and it just like, it makes you feel the conflict happening in the scene, even though there's not like physical conflict. Like, it makes their words seem more actiony in a way. Okay.
I can see that. Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, the reason I started saying this is because someone commented, Ludwig Göransson, who is the guy that made the score, put his entire nutsack into that score, coupled with a sound design that made me feel like I took a bomb to the chest.
That's funny.
I think that is so spot on, because, dude, I think one of the, more like, the only part of this movie where it was kind of like a jump scare, kind of, was with the sound, where they dropped that first test bomb, and then, like, obviously they got the flash, and everything was quiet and serene, and like, it was so powerful looking, and all that stuff, and then it was dying down, and all of a sudden the sound hit, and it was like, I thought that was just insane. I thought it got me. I was like, damn.
I honestly, when I first watched it, I was a little like, wow, this feels like it shouldn't be taking this long. But I looked it up afterwards, and for the closest people during the Trinity test, it took 30 seconds between seeing the blast and hearing it.
Wow. Isn't that crazy?
That's insane.
Wow. That is so wild.
because I think the closest base was 9,000 meters away, and sound travels 300 meters a second. So
yeah, wild. That's crazy stuff. And that was one of the most powerful scenes for me in the movie. But yeah, just jaw dropping. I think the amount of
I saw another review that called the score a 3-hour panic attack.
Yeah, dude,
because a lot of it is like there's no percussion, not to my memory, there's no percussion in the score. It's all like strings, and it's like there's so many scenes where it's just like
it's like weird eerie string music the whole time, nonstop.
And it just like it really like gets your heart pumping.
It does, yeah. Here's another comment that's we should do like a comment section at one point. That'd be kind of fun. Because we did the Barbie movie first, now we're talking about this one. It said, watching this after I just watched Barbie, call me Atomic Blonde.
I also saw a lot of people would purposely put their reviews on the wrong movie, so people would leave Oppenheimer reviews in the Barbie review section and put Barbie reviews in the Oppenheimer review section.
That's funny. I did not see that. That's good.
I will say though, I also, speaking of, I know I mentioned it earlier, but those like, I don't know what to call them, like those insert shots with like the spinning particles and the like flowing like fire and all of that stuff. Those scenes were beautiful.
I agree. I think, the filming of this movie, especially if there was no CGI, they did such a good job doing that. I think they did also beautiful like timeline work to really set the story, set the stage for the ending. What would you call it? The ending
well, I'd
trials?
Say this movie is broken up in two ways, which I think is very clever to have them simultaneously. We have two perspectives. So part of the movie is shot in black and white, and all of the black and white stuff is from Louis Strauss's perspective, and then all of the color stuff is from Oppenheimer's perspective. And so you cut back and forth between these two people. It's almost like having two protagonists, but I guess you could also say that like Strauss is the antagonist of the movie, but you don't really figure that out until later. But yeah, I think it's because I also, when I first was watching it, I thought that it was like, oh, the black and white stuff is present and then the color stuff is in the past. But then I realized it's like, no, there's two people here, and the black and white is one person and the color is another person.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I caught on to that at all.
Because there are a couple times where you see like the same scene from the other perspective. Like even like the first scene where he goes out and talks to Einstein out by the lake. The first time we see that is from Strauss's perspective, and it's in black and white. And then at the end of the movie, we see that same scene again from Oppenheimer's perspective, and it's in color.
Right. Which I'm still kind of confused at that scene from Strauss or from Oppenheimer's perspective. So the reason that Einstein just completely ignored Strauss was because Oppenheimer had said something so ridiculous or so alarming, I guess, to Einstein, that Einstein was just in his own head, or what?
Yeah, I think it was just upsetting because he had talked about and this is honestly, it blows my mind to this day. I realized that like scientifically they had done the calculations. They're like, there's barely any chance of it. There's that joke where he's talking to the journal. He's like near zero, and the guy's like, what do you mean near zero? But the fact that there was even a small possibility that they set off this nuke and just the entire world burns is mind-blowing to me.
It's a little alarming, isn't it?
It's very terrifying. And the fact, like, I don't know, like, yes, it was like a very remote possibility, but I don't know if I'd be able to bring myself to like push the button on that if I knew that it was at all possible.
And it's even worse with the hydrogen bomb. Like, Just crazy stuff. I don't know.
He tells Einstein, he was like, hey, you remember last time I came to see you, we were afraid that we would destroy the entire world. And Einstein's like, yeah, I remember that. And then Oppenheimer's like, well, I think we might have.
Yeah.
And it's just
and by him saying that, it was basically him being like, we made this weapon that, if used, can literally kill everyone, right?
Yeah, it's like maybe we didn't burn the atmosphere and kill everyone instantly, but introducing this kind of weapon to the world is going to lead to its destruction.
Right.
And I think that was just very, like, I mean, if I was Einstein, I also wouldn't want to immediately be smiling and saying hi to someone, so...
Yeah, that's true.
But then the fact that you can see the immense ego of Strauss to immediately assume that he was talking shit about him. And then that, I don't even remember that guy's name, but his like attorney or something, his representative at the end was like, have you ever thought that maybe they weren't talking about you and they were talking about something more important?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe he's like a little bit, what are those people called that think everyone's against them in like an argument or whatever?
Like paranoid?
No, they're, oh man, I forgot what they're called. Not paranoid, because paranoid is like just things going wrong in general. But this is like when you're, who cares? But yeah, maybe he's one of those people. Maybe.
But yeah, so the movie is split up into two different perspectives, but it also has a very clear, like, three, I don't know if acts is the right word, because they're like separate stories almost, but there's like three very clear sections of this movie, and I think they pretty much line up to the hour marks, where like the first hour is about Oppenheimer's school career and him like learning and then being a professor at Berkeley and all of that stuff. Right. And then we transition into the second hour, which is during the war and the Manhattan Project and the development of the bomb. And then the third hour is after the war and all of the political shenanigans that happened afterwards.
Right. Okay. Something I didn't know. Maybe that would have held me more accountable to watching it more actively. I'm not sure. Which one of those hours did you like the most?
I would say it's hard to say. I think probably the second part, and not just because like the bomb was pretty, but it's not even because of the bomb. I think watching them develop the bomb was really interesting, and them talking about like all of the like security stuff and the back and forth with him and the general about like, you can't talk to these people, and he's like, all right, but I'm going to talk to him anyway. And then they have like the balls that they keep putting the marbles in, and everyone gets so excited about these marbles, and it's like, I don't know, it's just like a fun sequence.
Right. I think it's wild that such a destructive, deadly power was displayed in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time, like, I think one of my notes in here was whenever they like heard that the bomb worked in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I think that all the people were so ignorantly joyful at the bomb's powers. I think that was probably like one of the most like eye-opening moments, just because like these people were so excited, but at the same time it brought so much destruction, not just for the people that were there at that point, but like even those people's kids and stuff like that.
I think it's good that they showed the amount of disagreement between scientists, and like you have his friend Robbie, I think was his name, and when he tried to hire him on, he was like, listen, I don't want to spend 3 years working on something that's going to kill thousands of people. Like, that just doesn't feel right to me. And Oppenheimer's like, listen, I know it may not be a good idea for us to build this bomb, but it 100% is definitely bad if the Nazis build this bomb, so we have to build it before them.
Right. But then that whole argument gets flipped on its head whenever the Nazis were already defeated and they were still trying to make it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's...
But I think that's by that point there, we're like at the point of no return where you can't, like, you get this far, you can't be like, all right, well, we're done now.
I mean, they could have realized that, like, that power was too much.
Well, and I think
and then apparently the U.S. dropped it when...
Because you remember there was that scene where Oppenheimer walks into the room and all of the scientists are like having a discussion. They're talking about Hitler committed suicide and Germany surrendered. Yeah. And Oppenheimer's like, we still have to worry about Japan, though. And he's like really pushing for them to finish the project.
Right. But then you find out later on that Japan was already basically defeated.
Yeah. And going back to
that was basically just a period or exclamation mark on them winning the war.
Yeah. Like you were saying with the people when they listen to it on the radio. First of all, I would say I like the amount of restraint that the movie had by not showing the actual bombing of Japan. And also there's a scene later where all the scientists, they're like running through a slideshow of photos and you can like hear people in the audience gasping, but they don't show any of those photos either. And I think it's almost like it's more disturbing seeing people's reaction to it than it is seeing the actual thing.
Yeah, especially Oppenheimer's, like the way he looked away and was like definitely just horrified at what he had created.
But you can tell like a lot of the actual scientists were like not really that excited when the news came on the radio, because I remember even specifically there was, I want to say, Richard Feynman, who was played by Jack Quaid, that where like you see a shot of him hearing the news about the bomb in Hiroshima, and he like kind of does like a half smile and like fist bumps the guy next to him. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess we did a good job, but like it's hard to be happy about that news. Yeah.
That's just one of those things that is hard to wrap your head around, honestly. I think if you weren't or have never been in that position of working so hard and long on something that you know is going to be destructive, but it's a good thing that you made it, but it's a really bad thing that you made it.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think
there's so many like
balances that perfectly where it shows people celebrating, but the movie itself doesn't celebrate it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You're almost disgusted that the people are celebrating.
Right. I also really appreciated that it doesn't feel like the movie is like sucking Oppenheimer's dick. Like he's a very flawed character, and I think a lot of the movie makes him out to be like he's not like portrayed as this perfect like genius. Like he's very smart, but he also like he gets a lot of things wrong in the movie.
Oh yeah, he cheats on his married wife with a child.
But like even on the science of it, like he gets his math wrong a lot of the times. He said that it wasn't possible to do the whatever fission thing, and then
splitting of the atom.
Yeah, he was like that's not possible. I did all the math, and the person's like, well, we just did it next door. So
yeah, Germany did it, and he was like, not possible. He was like, I'll be right back. The other scientist, he's like, we just did it.
And then when they're taking bets on like how powerful the bomb is going to be, he's like, I don't know, 3 kilotons, and it ended up being like 30.
Yeah.
Like he's smart, but he's not like, I feel like he's not movie genius smart. He's like real person smart.
Yeah, he's a visionary smart.
Yeah,
for sure, visionary smart. Because even whenever they had the meeting with all the other scientists, he admitted to one of the scientists, like he was like, "Yeah, you're better than math than I am, so you can go do the calculations." Because it's just not his wheelhouse.
Yeah, and I think that was very good, that because I feel like so many other movies, when they're like, this person's a genius, they make it so he like never messes up on anything, and he's always smarter than everyone else in the room. And
yeah,
I feel like it was,
you know what we didn't do? We didn't talk about movie budgets and
shit. You're right. Well, we'll get back to that later then.
yeah. I just thought of that. I was like, I wonder what Oppenheimer got compared to Barbie. We'll have that at the end then.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Absolutely. I think it was also really interesting to see that in the US there were like communists that were open about it, and like they had gatherings and parties and stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, that's why like the McCarthy era was such a insane thing, because like, yeah, there were actual communists, but also so many people got fired from their jobs or put in jail or stuff like that just for being associated with communists.
Oh, right. Yeah, I just think that was really powerful of the movie to show.
And I think
especially the fact that Oppenheimer was like close party with those people.
Yeah.
Maybe not a communist, but definitely associates with them regularly.
Yeah. And I think it created this wider, and it's, I mean, we could go through a whole history lesson of like the effects of the Red Scare on modern day America. But I think that the Cold War really built up a atmosphere of distrust between Americans, and I think it was bad for our country in the long term.
Right.
But yeah, I will say blah, blah, blah. I think the focus and the fact that you can see even before World War II is over that a lot of people in the government are like, yeah, I mean, we're fighting World War II, but we're really more worried about Russia. And it's just like so insane to me. And the fact that like, I don't know, it almost feels like a lot of the people in higher government positions are so cold and like callous about finishing World War II, and it almost seems like evil, like very horrifying that people could be so empty. Where like as two examples, the Secretary of War, when he's looking over the list of possible places that they could bomb, and he's like, well, we're not gonna do Kyoto because I honeymooned there and it was pretty. I'm like, that's like good that Kyoto didn't get bombed, but like that's insane to choose a target based off of such surface level requirements.
Yeah, and I think they realized that in the room too. Like, they all kind of looked at him like, "What, bro?" Yeah.
Or like when after the war he meets with President Truman, and he's like shakes the little handkerchief at him. He's like, "No one cares about you. I'm the one that dropped the bomb." Like, and then he tells his person like, "Don't let that crybaby back in here."
Yeah.
It's just like, it's insane
at first,
to me
I
how
thought,
you can like, someone's trying to communicate a real emotional response to you and to just be so dismissive.
Yeah. At first I thought that he was trying to help take some of the burden off his chest, but then I realized that like he was literally just saying like, "Oh, you don't matter in this equation, so stop being a little pussy."
Yeah.
You know? That was like the crazy part to me, I think. But yeah, when he said like, "Don't let this crybaby back in here," I was like, God damn, like that's the U.S. president, bro. What the fuck? That's crazy. This man didn't give two shits about anything.
Yeah,
it's just dropped the bomb and he was like super happy about it. Like, yeah, I there's some people out there that probably would do it again, honestly.
Yeah.
And I think they mentioned that in the movie too. He was like, and Oppenheimer would drop the bomb again if he could, but like not because of war, just because of fame.
Yeah, I don't know if that's entirely accurate, but I know, like...
Yeah, no, I don't know if it is either, but that's definitely a thought that went through people's minds.
I think from what I've read about Oppenheimer, although he has... And it is kind of conflicting, because it seems like he has a lot of negative feelings towards the way that the bomb was used, but he also doesn't regret creating it. Because I think for him, it like, and this is sort of like a weird, like intellectual thing, but like just the fact that he was able to make it before anyone else was like such an achievement. And he is like, yeah, it's a bomb, but also I made a cool thing. And like he doesn't really care about the fact that it's a weapon. He just cares that, like, it's almost as if he wishes he could make a weapon and then have it never be used. And that's such a conflicting stance to have, but also a very human stance. And I think showing that inconsistency makes him a very realistic character.
I wonder if he even like really saw it as a weapon though, versus more of just like a science.
Well, and they even like
breakthrough.
They avoid that kind of terminology at Los Alamos. They're always calling it like the gadget or the device. Like no one ever uses the word bomb.
Right. It's one of those don't speak that word.
Right. It's almost like they don't want to think about what it is.
Yeah, they don't want to know what the destruction is. They don't want to. They're just doing this because they're told to, and it's their job. That's kind of what it was brought out to be. No one wanted to be responsible for such a terrible, terrifying thing, not just because it can kill people, but just because it is terrifying, the amount of power that it houses.
But then you can see how much it haunts him afterwards. And especially, I think one of the best scenes in this movie is when he's at that rally and like the whole like crowd is cheering and stomping their feet and stuff. And it happens a couple times, but the whole, like, you can see the background start shaking a little bit behind him. And it's like building and building and building. And eventually there's this just blinding light. And it's I honestly can't even comprehend how bright an atomic blast is. I know I've read an account from a man who survived the blast at, I don't remember if it was Nagasaki.
It was the U.S. test. It was the U.S. test in the water, and they had all the people on the ship. Right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it was a Japanese man.
Oh.
I don't remember which city he was outside of, but it was like he was going into work that morning, realized he forgot something, went back home, and then as he was leaving his house, the bomb hit. And he lived like several miles outside the city, and he said he walked outside, saw the blast, and immediately went blind, and he never saw anything for the rest of his life. And so he just on pure chance, survived because he happened to forget something and go back home. But then on his way going back into the city was blinded by the explosion.
That's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But so he's
I remember.
Sorry, go ahead.
This has nothing to do with the movie. This has just to do about atomic bombs and like brightnesses and stuff like that. I remember there was a documentary that I watched about ships actually, and they were using the atomic bomb. They were testing it in water, and I remember that they had interviewed Navy veterans, and they said that even with your eyes closed, when the bomb hit, like you could see through your whole body and see all of your skeletons and stuff like that.
That's wild.
Yeah, they said like it was like an X-ray. You could see through everyone and see all the bone structure and stuff like that with the flashes. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, and I mean, like the stuff they mentioned in the movie is like I think at one point they mentioned there were like people who had like stripes or patterns on their clothing when they were hit with the blast. Those patterns were burned into their skin.
Yeah. If they weren't just straight up roasted, which is one of the, like you were talking about the visions.
Yeah.
Like he would, I guess, imagine or see like the burn victims.
Yeah,
like
he saw
in
like
the crowd or
that like dead body
stuff
that he stepped in that was just like charred remains, or he saw that like that one girl, her face started peeling off.
Yep.
And then like as he's walking through the crowd, like the cheering is like intercut with like actual horrifying screams, and like you see he looks at the same people and he'll see like two different versions of them, where there was like that one girl in the crowd that was cheering, and then when he looks back at her, she's like bawling her eyes out. Or there's like, he sees under the stairs, there's like a couple making out, and then he walks a little further and he sees the same couple and they're like huddled together, like crying.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's such a powerful moment to show like how it's really affecting him inside of his head, and he's just like unable to share in the joy that everyone else seems to be having,
because he knows the reality of it. I'm sure like most of those people weren't privy to like the images that they saw, or they just didn't know the depth. Like they didn't know like exactly what the bomb was, you know? Like I'm pretty sure at one point people were like, they only read it in the newspapers and they just could think of like a regular bomb.
Yeah.
But this thing was different. Like this thing was unreal. Like just the heat off the bomb itself, it reached millions of degrees.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I can even fathom that, although I just said it, you know? It's like weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Like literally for a second is like hotter than the sun.
Right. That's unreal. I don't know. It's just
kind of crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when you see like they have obviously this like huge like container, but then like the actual nuclear part is like smaller than a football, and they just like load it down into the center of this huge contraption.
Yeah. I don't know. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I think the movie does a really good job of like at least displaying that for the scientists, when that first blast hit, that they were just so amazed or in awe or terrified of this thing.
Yeah.
Because like they cut all audio and all you could hear was just like the breathing or like the heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it probably was pretty quiet when the actual bomb went off as well. Like, I don't think anyone's trying to like chit chat through that.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. I talking about the third half of the movie. So a lot of that is the security hearing for Oppenheimer, where he had his clearance revoked, and we see there are a lot of witnesses that are called, both for and against him. How did you feel about all of that stuff?
About like them calling in different people to testify against, or not testify, just talk against Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Or I thought, I don't know. It was weird to me that they were talking and he was just sitting there, and like it wasn't a hearing to, what did they say, to convict him?
Yeah, because it's not a trial. Yeah, it's not a trial. It's a security clearance meeting. So they're not he's not being convicted. They're just denying him clearance.
Yeah.
Which
I don't
is
know.
the same thing that comes back
weird.
to Strauss at the end, because he is up for becoming the Secretary of Commerce, and he is again shoved back at him, where he's like, "Well, it's not a trial. You're not being convicted. You're just being denied."
Right. I don't know. I thought the setup was really cool. I thought it was super intense, and it was probably exactly how it played through the first time around in real life. But I thought it was so sad and demeaning for Oppenheimer to be put in that predicament.
And I think that was kind of the point, because there's even like a line at the end where his wife confronts him about it. But I think the idea is that he knew that he wouldn't win, but he subjected himself to it because it felt like some sort of punishment for him. Like he felt so guilty about what he had done that he was like, well, I'm just going to let these people talk shit about me for days, and maybe that'll make me feel better. I don't know.
Yeah, I think his wife said that, right? Like, just because you're putting yourself through this torture, it's not going to change anything, and it shouldn't make you feel any better.
And she said, you think that if you let them tar and feather you, that the world will forgive you, but it won't.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's fucking wild for a wife to say. The fact that the world is against him because of, I don't know, it's just sad, you know? Like, he wasn't, I don't know if he can be blamed for it, you know?
I mean, I don't know.
I mean, he can be, but it's just so many steps away from just being one person's fault.
Yeah.
You know? Like, he was hired to do a job. And I wonder, I really do wonder sometimes if he could have even said no.
I mean, he could have. It was optional. No one forced him to do it.
Yeah, but then they just would have found someone else. Like, it's not like he was just the one.
He couldn't have stopped it from happening, but he could have stopped himself from being involved in it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it was just like a weird thing because in America he was such a hero for it, and then a little bit later he was being brought up to be the bad guy of the situation, which is another like wild thing of like that plot twist. The fact that the guy that we thought was on his side was really doing this whole like a really elaborate plan to fuck him in the end.
Yeah, because of his ego,
made fun of him.
He thought that he talked shit about him to Einstein, and then there was that other scene where they were having a hearing. Strauss had recommended not sending radioisotopes to Norway because he said they could be useful in constructing a weapon, and
he was like, bread can be useful in destructing.
Oppenheimer was like, isotopes are less useful than electronic components, but more useful than a sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, the guy had some serious beef.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That was, I mean, the whole thing. And then Strauss also got basically rolled in the end of it.
Yeah.
You know? Just wild. Just crazy.
I will say, I think when one part that was a little weird to me is I know, and like I said, most of the stuff in this movie is stuff that actually happened, and so you can read on his actual security hearing. His wife did testify for him, but I feel like the scene in the movie felt very strange because up until that point, Kitty had been shown to be very passionate and very strong-willed, but not necessarily witty. And so to have like this expert prosecutor who's like tearing everyone apart, and then she gets up there and is like,
she's like a badass.
Yeah, like making fun of him for using the wrong words. And I was like, I don't know, that feels a little strange to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's what they said about this guy, though, is like he's just so keen with his wording. And then she came up there and she was like, I don't like your English that you're using. Like,
yeah, and that's what's confusing.
You're trying to say something that you're not trying to say.
Of all the people to like clap back at him, it's like I wouldn't have expected her to be the one.
Yeah, yeah. Although
she's like literally
a biologist, right?
For half the movie, she's a complete alcoholic, and she's like walking around with a whole bottle of liquor, and like I don't know.
That's true. Yeah.
Almost
even
every
in the
scene,
hearing, she had
like every scene you see her in, she's drinking.
Yeah. I also, I don't know if it helped the movie or if it just made the movie a little bit strange for me. Or like the sex scenes in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about those.
I know. I don't know how like that really fit in. Like that one scene where it showed him having sex, and then even in the hearing he was talking about his affair, and the wife saw the chick having sex with him in the chair in the hearing, and I was like, yo, what is going on right now?
I think it was a very interesting choice to show, like, we see Oppenheimer has 2 children, but we never see him have sex with his wife, only Jean.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like those Well, I feel like the one in the boardroom was like a different. It like, I don't know, it held a different purpose because it was like her imagination of like seeing her husband cheat on her, but the scenes like where they're actually like doing stuff felt very like no one actually has sex like that. I don't know. It felt like it felt a little bit like Christopher Nolan doesn't know how sex works. Because
I don't know.
Like,
I mean,
she like gets up and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go look at your books real quick," and then she's like, "Why don't you read this for me?"
Read this to me, and every sentence that you read, I'll hit a pump.
I don't know,
like,
man.
Yeah, that was so strange. But again, like maybe in the olden days they did that shit. But what does that help? That's what I don't understand. Like why was that in the movie? Besides like seeing some tits, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't understand what that did.
I think it is showing how Oppenheimer is like not like because they didn't want to make him seem like a good person, so that was just more reason for him to be like he's cheating on his wife, and also his wife was cheating because they like she got pregnant before she had even divorced her previous husband.
Oh, yeah.
And then like it's also shown that he had like I don't know if they ever had sex or not, but it's mentioned later that he also had an affair with I believe her name is Ruth, like someone else's wife.
Oh boy, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh. Huh.
But like he's just kind of a shit dude.
Yeah, he just doesn't know. Yeah, and I think at one point it also said that. It said like you're so smart in this field that it's only fair for you to be cursed in these other areas of life. I think it said that, or some guy said that to him.
And then also I don't know, I think I had something on the tip of my tongue about like obviously it's not necessary for there to be nudity, but it also seemed, first of all, like I don't know, it's pretty tame. I know there were a couple articles that came out before the movie that was like, we're going to have full frontal, but it was like, it really was just some tits. Like it wasn't even that big of a deal.
But it was a close up of the tits. That's like 4K tits right there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah. Especially
that wasn't
if you went to see it in an IMAX theater.
Yeah, dude. You have like a boob in front of you that's like 10 foot by 10 foot. The nipple is like itself 4 feet long. I don't know, like it was like really in there, like the sounds and like,
but it
just came out of left field for me.
I don't know. I feel like,
I mean, I get this movie is about Oppenheimer, but
I feel like movies need to be less afraid of tits. I feel like it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
I agree, but it's like putting tits in Barbie all of a sudden. It's like, okay, well, that has nothing to do with the movie. Like this movie is about Oppenheimer and about his science and about like, the atomic bombs.
Ryan Gosling was shirtless for half of Barbie. So like if you're really thinking about it, like it's nipples either way. Like I don't understand the distinction between like
here we go.
Like,
no.
Like a women's
I don't like where we're going.
Are like all of a sudden this sexual thing and men's nipples are okay.
Oh God, I don't want to go in that conversation because I'm a little bit more conservative when it comes there, and I already know it.
I mean, I'm not saying like women should be walking down the street shirtless all the time, but I also don't think dudes should be walking down the street shirtless all the time.
I agree. I don't take my shirt off ever because I think it's like.
But I'm saying it feels hypocritical for a movie to say it's okay to see one of them and not the other.
That's true. But granted, in Oppenheimer, we saw men titties and women titties.
That's true. It was very, very fair game.
It was fair game, yeah. They should just not have had any of the sex scenes in there. I just don't understand why. Like, I don't know what that did for me besides seeing some boobs and man boobs. You know?
Yeah.
It didn't add to the fact that she died. And I think
also,
that's maybe what they were trying to go for.
I don't know if you caught this, but
the hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. The hands. Was she killed or did she kill herself?
That's a real life, like, conspiracy theory is not the right word, but there is some debate on how she died. most people, Oppenheimer included, really did believe that she killed herself. But I know her family...
What if it was Oppenheimer that killed her?
Her family thought that there might have been some foul play, and there was trace amounts of a certain drug in her system that was very common for people to use when they're killing somebody.
Yeah. They said, the medication that they had there wasn't what was in her body. And I was like, oh, wait, what?
So she had taken drugs that were, I want to say, sleeping pills or something like that. But then they also found, I don't remember what it's called, some sort of nitrate or something like that. That was pretty much like a date rape drug that was also found in her system. And so it felt a little suspicious. And also because she was a communist, there was reason to believe that the government might have had her killed and things like that.
Oh, true. Especially knowing that she was associated with Oppenheimer.
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
So
I see.
I
wouldn't put it past the U.S. government, though. You know what I'm saying?
The official record is that she committed suicide, but there are a lot of people out there who don't necessarily believe that.
What do you think?
I don't know enough about this case. Yeah. I only learned about it after watching this movie. So.
Yeah. That part got me a little confused too, because I saw the hands drowning her, but then they were it was an accident and she took drugs. And I was like, wait. But in that little segment, I saw hands.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy stuff. Look at that. That would be a good trivia thing, you know?
Yeah. Another part that, I don't know, it almost took me out of the movie a little bit, is at the very end, there was it felt like another one of those. You remember last week when I was talking about how they were made it seem like they were trying to set up for a sequel with the Dracula stuff?
Yeah.
I got the same exact vibes when they name dropped JFK at the end of this one.
Oh, true.
It felt so cheesy. And it was like
a young JFK trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah, he was like, we had a couple more holdouts than we were expecting. Some young senator trying to make a name, and Strauss is like, well, what's his name? And he goes, Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah. Although, granted, I didn't know that he was one of the guys that kind of cock-blocked the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's honestly, I feel like movies like this put into perspective, I am so bad with overlapping people. Like all of the scientists in here, like Niels Bohr, Richard Feynman, even Einstein. I didn't know that Oppenheimer and Einstein were alive at the same time. I don't know.
True.
I just I guess it's not that I didn't know it, I just didn't piece it together. Because I knew Einstein was alive during World War II. So obviously he would have had to have been alive when Oppenheimer was alive, because he worked on World War II. But I don't know, I just the pieces never connected in my head.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that Einstein only passed away in 1955.
Yeah.
That's, and when I think of him, I think of really fucking old, died in the 1920s. But yeah, no, he was alive well after World War II. Crazy.
He mentions a couple other people. I want to say at some point he talks about Stravinsky, who was I don't know, people in other fields, not only scientific fields, who are also these huge historical figures that just happen to be alive at the same time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it always makes me think about I feel like when we look at history, there's so many important people doing so many important things simultaneously, and it makes me think about when I'm 70, what are going to be these are the super important people from the 2020s.
Right. I mean, definitely Elon.
I mean, he'll be mentioned.
He'll be there, dude. He made the first self-landing rockets and stuff. Well, he didn't make them.
That's
he just put the team together to make it.
He's the name.
I mean, he's the name on everything. He's the name on the guy that got electric cars really going again.
But I think enough, especially in our current information era where things are so readily available to people, I think it's different than like during World War II. It's like Oppenheimer is the director, he's in charge of everything, so that means he's responsible for everything. But now it's like, yeah, Elon Musk is the head of SpaceX, but I feel like it's more common knowledge for people how little he actually had to do with designing any of it. Like he's good at hiring people that are smarter than him, but he doesn't actually do anything.
I mean, Oppenheimer did the same thing technically.
I mean, yeah, but he also like he wasn't completely useless. Like he was very skilled at theory and he could do some calculations. There's a difference between it being like, oh, we thought this was one person, but it was actually a team effort, versus I feel like with Elon Musk, it's like people thought this was one person, but actually it wasn't him at all, and he just took credit for other people's stuff.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I could be wrong. Maybe history will treat him nicer.
I think they will.
I think they shouldn't.
I think they will. I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't see him as like a bad guy. It's not like he meant he's out there just to get his own name out there. I think I think he is, though. I think that's his entire game, is he just wants to be famous. That's why he named all of his cars to spell sexy. He doesn't care about making a good vehicle. He wants a sexy vehicle. It's why when those kids got trapped in the cave and he was like, I'm going to build a machine to go save them. And then they ended up like they just got saved by a professional diver. And then he like on Twitter was trying to call the diving team pedophiles or something like that. Like Elon Musk is a douchebag. Yeah, I don't know. Weird shit. Back to Oppenheimer, though. I don't really have much more to say, I don't think.
No, me either. I think it's an absolute banger of a movie. It's definitely like if you're really against long dialogue scenes, it's not going to be for you. But I will say it, like, for a dialogue heavy movie, this is probably the best one in recent memory.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
All right, let us get to our Oppenheimer trivia.
Let's do it.
Our first piece here says so this is something that we might have mentioned before, I don't know, but the SAG-AFTRA strike was announced like during the UK premiere for this movie. Like you can see videos of them like walking the red carpet and like doing interviews with people, and then they get the news that the strike had been announced and all of the actors just left.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What? They just leave? They just walk out?
Yeah. Because once they're on strike, they're not allowed to promote their movie anymore, so they're not allowed to be there.
Right. Wow. They just walked out? That's fucking ballsy. That's so cool. That's a one time in a life experience too, I bet. For the actors, hopefully.
Yeah. And I'd like to imagine what it was like for Christopher Nolan, because he's a director, not an actor. So like he was still there. All his actors left, and he's just like, all right, well, I guess let's go see my movie.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's actually kind of sad also, though, for the actors. You know, they put so much time and effort into it, and then this other thing happens to where they don't get to enjoy the final like party, you could say.
Yeah, that's true.
Man, that sucks.
Matt Damon, who I don't think we mentioned during our review, but he played General Groves.
Right.
First of all, thought he did great.
I agree. I think every actor, honestly, in the movie did great.
100%. I had no problems with any of the actors. Yeah. But it says Matt Damon had actually promised his wife that he was going to take a break from acting to spend more time with her, but he had one condition, and that he would leave his break if Christopher Nolan called him. And then, of course,
no way.
That happened for this movie.
And then he gets called on? That's so cool. What?
He's like, okay, I'm gonna stop acting for a while unless Christopher Nolan wants me to be in something. And then he's like, oh, I have a phone call, and it's Christopher Nolan like, hey, you want to be in a movie? He's like, sorry, babe.
Sorry, hon, I gotta go. This guy's more important than you or my break. That's funny.
In order for the black and white sections of the movie to be shot with the same quality as the rest of the film, Kodak produced a limited supply of XX black and white film stock in 70mm. This film stock was chosen specifically for its heritage because it was originally sold to photographers during World War II and was very popular with photojournalists of the era.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was also the only time that IMAX black and white film had been produced, because most IMAX movies are shot on digital, and like people who do like shoot stuff on film don't usually shoot for IMAX. I think this is the first time that there has been an IMAX film camera.
Wow, that's cool.
According to multiple sources, Cillian Murphy restricted himself to 1 almond a day during parts of filming in order to maintain Oppenheimer's gaunt profile.
What? What do you mean 1 almond a day?
I mean 1 fucking almond a day.
He just ate 1 almond a day?
I think so, yeah.
He was starving himself? Bro, what?
Gotta get that skinny figure.
Jesus Christ. That's crazy.
Well, and as reference here, actually our next piece of trivia, the real Robert Oppenheimer was 5'11", weighed an average of 128, but during the Manhattan Project, he was so stressed out that his weight dropped to 115.
Holy smokes. Yeah, I mean, I can see that happening. Although it's weird that like the scientists weren't like fed well. You know what I'm saying? Like you would think they would be treated like royalty in like the town they just made. Blah blah blah.
I don't
blah.
think that it's that like they didn't have food available. I think they were just didn't
that
eat.
Stressed.
Yeah.
That's I feel that. Wow, that's wild. That's so unhealthy. Like on so many levels.
100%.
Jesus.
And our last piece of trivia here, the line by Harry Truman, "Don't ever bring that crybaby back in here," is historically factual. Truman actually said that to his staff after meeting Oppenheimer, and also mockingly handed him a handkerchief as portrayed in the film.
Oh my god, what a dick.
For real.
That's insane. Fuck that guy, bro. Oh my. That's actually kind of like so funny, but so awful on so many levels.
Insane.
That's crazy. Wow, what a good fact. The American public has never really been great at choosing presidents, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, that is it for that trivia. Do you have any final thoughts on Oppenheimer before we get into the box office stuff?
No, not really. I think we covered all of it. Like you said, most of it. Like, go watch it if you're not a big, fan of conversations, long drawn conversations happening. Maybe it's not your movie, but I still think it's a really good one to watch. Even just for like the historical aspect of it, because it doesn't, like you said, piece like different timelines of people together in a way that's like really interesting to see. Although I will say, I don't think they chose Albert Einstein's character very well. He didn't look anything like Albert to me. Just saying.
It felt like it's not how I would have expected him to look, but I feel like I got used to it after a while.
I didn't. I know Albert too well. He's a good buddy of mine. Yeah. Oh, Alb and I go way back.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, as you had mentioned, we didn't talk about box office earlier, so we'll do that now. We'll start with Barbie, which had an estimated budget of $100 million.
That is steep.
Opening weekend in the United States and Canada made $162 million. And then its gross revenue worldwide is $1.4 billion.
Isn't that fucking nutty?
That's insane.
That is wild.
I think I remember reading this broke all sorts of records. It's like
it's
so
like
many. The highest grossing film directed by a woman. I think it's the highest grossing Warner Brothers movie. I think it's the like highest grossing something, or like it made so much money.
Yeah, so many awards, so much money.
And I think part of that is the like Barbenheimer craze. I think usually when two big movies come out at the same time, they're like competing, and people will be like, go see this movie or this movie. But this just happened to be the perfect fusion of like them almost helping each other.
Yeah. Well, let's see what were the counts for Oppenheimer?
Okay, so
let's see if they made roughly the same.
Had also about $100 million budget, but then it says here their gross is about 950 million. So not quite as high as Barbie, yeah. But it's still like that's good money. They almost broke $1 billion.
Wow. That's wild. Yeah, and I think it also helped that Barbie is such a big name. Yeah. And always has been.
Yeah.
And then, Oppenheimer. Maybe Oppenheimer low-key piggybacked off Barbie because, I mean...
Well, I think...
You know what I'm saying?
I think Barbie is definitely has a wider audience. I think there are people that... would have gone to see Barbie either way just because they're like, oh, it's a toy I used to play with, or oh, look, it's pretty and colorful and it has Ryan Gosling in it and things like that. I think Oppenheimer really only appeals to more like film nerds.
Yeah, film nerds, or like, I don't know, war movie watching nerds, or
like I don't know. Like you had mentioned earlier, like I feel like I could see a bunch of sorority girls going to see Barbie. I can't see a bunch of sorority girls going to see Oppenheimer.
No chance. Well, those are some good numbers, though. They both made massive amounts of dough. So
yeah, they did.
Good for them.
All right. Well, with that said, I believe it's time for us to get wrecked.
Let's do it. I will go first.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, so this is actually a Christmas gift. So, Dad, if you're watching, turn it off right now. Just saying.
Does your dad normally watch our episodes?
I don't think so. Not on YouTube. But if you guys have a model store near you and you don't know what to do for a gift for someone, but you have time to do something on your own, like build it, go and get a model kit. This is the Spirit of St. Louis. It's a really important plane to my dad, and that's what it'll look like after I complete it. It's just a balsa wood model. Yeah. But the wingspan is about 34 inches, so it's a big fucking model.
Yeah, I don't know if our audience knows this or not, but we can't see each other.
No, we cannot see each other. I think I'm staring at myself literally the whole time that
honestly,
we're talking.
It is such a hard work for me not to look at myself all the time.
Here, let me send you a picture of the model. Yeah, I put like my picture right under the camera so that I can just like stare at myself because it gives me something to look at.
I have my notes right under the camera because that way I'm like, when I'm reading, I'm like kind of looking at the camera, but also a lot of the times I'll try to like actually look at the camera because I feel like it's weird if I never look directly at it.
I never look directly at it. Nope. Only for my intro because that's when I'm talking to the people. But after that, I'm talking to you. So I'm looking at you through me.
If I could see you, I'd be looking at you.
Yeah, true. We tried that once and it worked out well. Yeah, so it'll be cool. It's a lot of work, but I think the payout is really cool. And if you have a model store near you, go in there, check it out. There's so much, like from Star Wars to model airplanes, model cars, RC planes, everything. Super cool. That's my rec.
Very nice.
It's a good gift for someone who likes crafts too.
Well, for my rec, I am going to recommend there's a website called Hero Forge. For those of you who are into tabletop role-playing games, you can get on there and they have an incredible amount of customization, but you can build a little figurine, and then you can they have several options for like what material you want it to be printed in. You can have it without color, or you can have someone at the company like paint it for you, or if you want to paint it yourself, you can get like, I'll show you here, they're tiny little figurines like this that you can use for games. But yeah,
super cool. You can probably find those at that hobby store, just saying.
Yeah, they also, I mean, you can buy like pre-designed figurines in a lot of like comic book shops and stuff. I know there's one here downtown where they have a couple little figurines, especially if you're like just getting like some monsters. But for like if you wanted to create a custom character, I feel like that's the best website to do that. And if you don't want to buy a printed version, you can also get I believe it's an STL file if you have your own 3D printer.
Sweet.
You can print it yourself.
Oh, that's dope. Definitely also like a good character for D&D.
Well, D&D is a tabletop role-playing game.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But
very cool.
I didn't want to alienate other non-D&D games.
Right. That's dope though. Good rec.
I will say, I think next week we're going to be doing a little bit of a special episode. So
yes,
there's nothing really for you to watch, but stay tuned anyway. It'll be fun.
All right.
With that said, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and tell your friends and family about us. If you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and hit that bell icon. You can also follow us on X and Instagram at CashFanPod. If you want to send us a message, you can DM us, leave a YouTube comment, or send an email to casualfanaticpodcast@gmail.com. Links for all of that stuff will be in the description. Luke, why don't you tell them what kind of message they can send us?
Absolutely. You guys can send us recommendations like we just gave out to you. You can send us movies or shows or episodes that you would like us to watch and or review for you. If you're interested in hearing, our feedback, you can leave comments of advice that you would want to give us or things that you just love about our show. That we, compliments are always nice. So yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. All right. Well then, this has been Casual Fanatic. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.